Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to WOR and welcome one and all to the Chinese Grand Prix here at PC Tier 2. It's good to be back in the commentary box, and I'm joined with a friendly and familiar face. It's Diamond Den Blanken, also known as the one and only TDB, race engineer extraordinaire and commentator. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome to the commentary box.
I'm doing fairly well. It's actually my first appearance on the WR channel, so maybe not such a familiar face, but been around the community a little bit, done a few other leagues. But yeah, technically it's my WR debut, Tier 2, around a track like China. What can go wrong?
Well, lovely to have you, mate. As I say, definitely a friendly face around these parts. Lovely to have you. And it's good to be back with all of you. See you in the chat. Thank you for joining us. And it's going to be a good race tonight. You've got quite the round here tonight called Chinese Grand Prix. It's a track that I absolutely love to see in league racing. I mean, what are your opinions on it, just in general?
I like the track. But that's more because I've been a controller player my whole life, and this track and controller pairs relatively well, so I really do not have an issue with it. But besides that, it's a track that's got good overtaking opportunity. It's got a few long swooping corners, and overall, it's a track that I really enjoy. I think overtaking will certainly be an option, and especially with tyre strategies and tyre wear in the second half of the race, it should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big fight for quite a few drivers out on the field. So, of course, we have got some key protagonists. We're coming up to the final few races of the season here. Remember, end of April, we wrap up the 10-race season ahead of F1 24's release and debut fully. But as the championship stands, we have Joris Krozen with 86 points, 19 points ahead of Leo Lund in second place for the Red Bull team, with Leroy Brown in the Mercedes with 53 points. Just 5 points behind him is John Marquardt in fourth, with Kai Pearson, the second Alpine, down in 44. Then you got a bit of a tie with Riccardo Benzoni, reserve driver, who's had a chance to really put himself through his paces, alongside JST, both on 36. And then you got a couple of other standouts: Tom Martinez, 32 points, Yane Dobzan, and Reyes Imtiaz, aka Black Box. The two AlphaTauris taking P9 and P10. Of course, link is in the description if you want to see the full standings, race by race breakdowns. But key takeaways before we jump into China here is that this is going to be a little bit of a crucible for some, because for Shanghai, of course, it's not the most common track on league racing calendars, and that also means for some that this might be some unfamiliar territory.
I mean, I certainly know myself that China is a track that many leagues haven't really touched. I know there's been one or two leagues that had it earlier on in the game, but certainly it's maybe been a track that many drivers had to relearn. And certainly when we're at the stage in the championship where Joris Kroes, I mean, he has a 19-point gap towards second place Leo Lund. This is a track that he's also had to sweat, and maybe hasn't done it all that much before. He needed to prepare as best as he ever could to try to just make that gap even bigger. And with one poor result from Leo Lund and a good result from Joris himself, he can really convince this championship his way tonight. And I believe that all the drivers are already starting to ready up, so it won't be long until we start. And I mean, China, we can see some rain. Do we want it?
I think it's going to be a big shake-up. I don't know how enthusiastic the drivers are going to be about that one, but I think rain would certainly be entertaining. Of course, you have the Shanghai circuit. It's 16 corners, 5.4 kilometers, and 2 DRS zones, including that iconic back straight, the big dive into turn 14. Lots of moves being made there, races being won or lost in those last couple of corners in particular. Other key points and areas to note is that you've got the pretty complex first sector, I gotta say, because there's a lot of altitude change. There's going to be a lot of different forces working on your car, and especially if you're driving alongside another driver, then things can get dicey there, wouldn't you say?
I mean, certainly so, but at the level that these drivers are all competing, I think it should certainly not really be an issue. But although whenever drivers are fully going for it, a crash can certainly happen. Like we saw last time round, we had the two Haas drivers at that moment. I know for sure it was Julian Klaffenburg, and I believe it was Enzo Zoom as well, crashing out throughout Parabolica in Monza, which led to these drivers not finishing a 1-2, but instead DNF for the both of them. It will be dry throughout the whole session. That's what I've seen on the telemetry, but all drivers are eager to start their lap times as soon as possible. You see both Aston Martins who will be leading the outlap, but besides that, nearly everyone already venturing outside of the pit box. And yeah, maybe a little bit crowded. We may see some penalties, but of course, during the lobby restart, these will be removed. And with that long straight, you should have plenty of opportunity to get your tires up to great temperature with the brake dragging technique. And then we will be seeing that first lap time. First driver to likely do so will be Lefted of Streamline Racing Team.
Yeah, let's see what he can do here, because he's going to be one of the drivers to watch in the session. He's got out nice and early. He doesn't want any nonsense, doesn't want any traffic getting in his way. He's going to be working his car, trying to get up to temperature, dragging the brakes a little bit as he's getting himself primed for the first lap here in qualifying.
That certainly is the case. So the major hairpin, I would say this is the main overtaking point throughout the race. I've seen quite a few big crashes actually on that main straight as well. Let's just hope I don't jinx anything there and that it will be happening. But Lefted about to start his first lap time. DRS deployed in towards the 7th and the 8th gear as well to start off his first hot lap. This will be the banker lap time to try to just put down a solid lap time so you know where to improve or where you've lost time upon your delta. And if you invalidate maybe once or twice, you won't be starting all the way towards the back. Lefted trying to keep it quite smooth for this first lap. Coming up towards that first sector split, let's see what it will be. It is just when the straight goes straight here, it's a 23.592, so it's a decent first sector there for Lefted. Now up towards the middle sector, this is where your tire temperatures will be suffering. Of course, you've had turn one where it's a very long corner which just keeps going, but here still very fast flowing corners, and those tire temperatures really will not like it. Means that softs really for the race are most of the time not the most viable strategy option, but we will be seeing what these teams and strategies will be coming up with at 50.424 for the middle sector split. And now when he comes up towards that long straight, it's really not something that can go wrong besides one more corner, the final corner. Very easy to invalidate there. Let's hope it doesn't happen for Lefted.
Yeah, you're going to see he's going to be pushing it to the absolute edge of his speed limit. You can see over 200 miles an hour easily down this back straight. Let's see, what point is he going to be heading onto the brakes? So he jumping on the brakes hard as he can, even dragging the rear a little bit as he just pivots the car round the corner, jumping on the throttle as soon as he can, even getting a little bit of wheel spin, hitting the overrun. Doesn't invalidate on the final corner. Left is going to be coming up to the line now. 29.939 is your initial benchmark. Let's see what the rest of the field can do. Sammy Chemsey is going to come in with a 0.827. He's going to pit his Aston Martin teammate by a 10th. Thomas Lamminen, he's going to be a 30.2. No major jumps there. Jean Marquardt is going to be 0.04 of a second behind the leading Aston Martin here. As you've got a few drivers coming through. Joris Krotzen is going to be in a 29.951. So championship leader currently sat P4 in this qualifying session. Few more cars coming through now. JST, leader of the lobby currently, is going to be jumping into P6, just making it by a hair's breadth over the 130 line and into the 129s.
Certainly a few very big names who have been doing very well in the championship so far, not getting position that they want to see. Mark Sluter coming up towards the line next in the Alfa Romeo, 19th. Curly, what can he do? Only 16th for the German himself there. We've got Daniel Gottschalk up towards the net line. Also not a great lap time for him. Now the race got driven off Guy Pearson. Could he perform a little bit better? Also 18th. Many lap times not being all that great. Tom Roberts, luckily for himself, putting a change up on that, putting himself up in towards that 7th position. First lap times have been set. It's an Aston Martin on the front spot currently. Sami Shemsi for the Veloce Academy putting down quite a nice lap time. And Janne Dosvan putting himself in second place for WOR Esports. Of course, it's nice to see a WR driver doing pretty well in WR.
Yep, and certainly a statement to be making because everyone has now, barring Nico Benz, they've all put down a time on the board, and that's important. Now they have a safety net. They've got still 12.5 minutes left in this qualifying session. There's plenty of time to go for more runs, but the important thing here is that if they invalidate, if they push that a little bit too far, they know that they have something to fall back on now.
I mean, certainly so, but I don't think that anyone would really like to keep this lap. I think everyone would like to improve, and especially there are some very fast names who are a little bit further back than I would have liked. I mean, Julian Klaffenburg, Nando Moreira, you've got Leo Lund, Kai Pearson, Nico Benz, who's not set a valid lap time yet. I think these are all drivers that would like to get a little bit of a better lap time. These are also names I would personally expect to see a little bit more above there. And maybe it is the fact that, like we've been saying, China, the track hasn't really been driven all that much on this game. We may be able to see some surprises here, and that's maybe actually what we're getting.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing a little bit of upsets in terms of the order. For instance, Leo Lund, currently P2 in the championship, but in terms of this qualifying session, only P16. And he is one of the drivers, like you were saying, I'm definitely expecting to see him climb up the boards in due time. Still plenty of runs to go. The session is young. And as far as this qualifying goes, we're seeing a massive spread. 0.7 of a second is quite the large spread for a session like this, for a lobby like this. We should be seeing everyone within a few tenths of one another. Kai Pearson, he's definitely going to be going on for another lap. I think he may have made a mistake. Looks like the mistake was made in the second sector. But either way, he's going to be going for another run after this. Just got to peel it back into the pits. 32.9. It's fairly off pace, but he's going to have another opportunity, and that's the main thing here.
Very interesting that Kai Pearson went for a double lap, because you'd already lose quite a bit of time. I would have rather expected Race Guide to just pull that driver in and let them go again, but he still has 2 fresh runs on 2 fresh sets of tires, so I do also understand the opportunity to go out again. But yeah, it's a decision that Kai Pearson has gone for. A little bit out of sync. Needs to make sure that he doesn't get screwed over by traffic. Whilst we see the next cars already preparing to start their lap times. Once more, both Aston Martins at the front to start their laps. And actually, Kai Pearson's going for it again. So maybe he already dove in. I didn't see that.
Yeah, let's see what he can do here. He's full on the battery. He's going to be going for it regardless of maybe being a bit out of sync of the rest of the field. He's managed to jump most of the traffic. Most he's going to face is Resh Imtiaz further up the road, but we do see the drivers peel off to the side because sportsmanship shown, and depending on the position, he might even be able to get... Oh no, he's not on the ERS. So he's still going to be...
lap old softs, but not on the ERS.
I think he's just trying to get that 32
I think he's doing some race-based practice.
Yeah, that could be very much on the table here, or at the very minimum, he's looking to get out of the 132s and just have a better banker. While he's on an old set, he might as well put something down that's a bit safer.
I mean, yeah, but you'd use your battery at that moment. So he's just really, I guess, just focusing upon his race pace. Maybe it indicates that he is planning on doing a little bit of a run on that set of the soft tires, but it is left it already. Who started to do his next lap already 15 thousandths of a second quicker than what he previously did at 23.577 is the case. Now coming out of turn number 6 in towards turn number 7, you want to just hook it up towards the left hand side as long as possible and get a nice swing in towards turn number 8, the right hander up towards a double left hander, where it's quite tricky actually, or at least it used to be very tricky to keep it in between the lines here, especially on the exit here. You would really be pushed towards the outside, but on this game it is quite a bit easier, or these drivers just make it seem incredibly easy. 64 thousandths of a second, a little bit slower than what he did on that first lap time, so maybe not the ideal lap time for Lefted. Let's see what he can do now on this main straight, getting a little bit of a slipstream from that Ferrari. No real block there. It would have either been Nando Moreira or Riyad Sprogis, but now coming up towards turn number 14, the main braking point, it was Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel that collided here in 2017 when Max was still so aggressive, making mistakes, and unfortunately that's not the case anymore. He seems to be absolutely perfect, and I mean, we can say the same about Joris Cruzen so far in the championship season. And what's not perfect is that final turn from Lefted, not making the apex, aborting it, trying to go back in the pit lane, doing a half spin, but in the end made his way back in towards the pit lane, while Thomas Lamminen gets himself into 10th.
Unfortunately, the cameras betrayed us just a little bit there. We were looking for the angle and we just spaced towards the sky and then cut to him ghosted out. So, unfortunately, cameras did betray us slightly there, but you've got a few other cars who are going to be going through. Ooh. So, Jimsy, 0.702. He's going to pip his previous time by another 10th. So, that is going to be a very powerful statement to the rest of the field. He's just giving it his absolute all. He really wants to put a solid time down. You've got a few other cars coming through now, starting their laps in due course. You've got Riyad Sprogis. I think he's going to be on his lap now. So that is Nando Morera, who is starting. And then you've got Klaffenbach coming in with a 0.772, just squeezing across the line under the radar. I think I just want to keep the head down and put down some good laps because, say, what happened in the last race, I know that it's time to put down the results.
Certainly so. Yours Cruiser currently 2/10 of a second quicker coming in towards that final turn. We've seen a few drivers invalidate there already, but Yoris Cruiser taking it relatively safe. Coming up towards the line, Whittlesby Paul, it will be a 29.609. Exactly the lap time that we've been expecting from the Dutchman. Bogdan Moldovan coming towards the line, 1/10 improvement. But he loses it all in that final sector. Leo Lunden coming up towards the line. No, actually, it is his Red Bull teammate of Daniel Gottschalk because he invalidates with Leo Lund currently 3/10 of a second quicker. And he is in the slipstream of an Alfa Romeo, which is Max Sluter, right in front of him, who's still doing his lap. And then you get quite a nice tow, actually, down this main straight. Let's see how much this actually helps the young Swedish driver, currently second in the standings, wanting to gain upon Joris Cruiser. Close that gap even more. Is he able to do so? Quite a nice final corner. Leo Lund towards the line, P7.
Yep, very good use of his opponent there out on track, getting a little bit of slipstream. I think almost caught him a little bit off guard because I saw he went a tiny bit wide of the apex of turn 14. So he was looking to get some pace there, maybe a little bit more than he otherwise expected. Few other cars coming in now. So you've got Sprogis, who has completed their lap. They're going to be in P10. Nando Moreira up in P5. Few more cars are going to be heading down, making their way. Unfortunately, Marquardt has invalidated, so that leaves a couple of other drivers out on the field here. You've got, I think, one of the Alpines coming to the line and starting their lap. And then you've got Nico Benz has not left the pit lane, and reportedly Kai Pearson is starting from last. That's the reason behind his 32.8, and does lead a bit more to suggest that he was, as you said, going for some race pace runs.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense to do 6 laps on the softs if he was actually going for a competitive lap time. So I kind of saw that coming. But I would have maybe expected him to just go all out for that final run. But I guess that was not the case. All drivers having now completed their second run of this session, meaning that they will be preparing themselves for this final run. It is just a one-timer. You've got to give it your all to try to get the best grip position possible, because although this track is pretty wide, it is very easy to stick in that DRS train, but also pretty easy to drive out of it when you've got a tire difference. So I think in the first stint, many DRS trains, but in the second stint, it will certainly be getting very, very interesting. Nico Benz still not set a single valid lap time. Don't know if we've seen him out on track. I wouldn't be surprised if he were to be serving a qualification ban of some sort, or maybe he just wants a challenge as well, and he just wants to, brag up towards Kai Pearson a little bit and say, you know, you're starting last, I'll do the same and finish it off you.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of, say, camaraderie, gentlemen's agreements coming into play there. Certainly, all cards are on the table for a couple of these drivers, but as we look towards the final few minutes of the qualifying, here is your current standing. Key things to note, you got some drivers who are separated by just a couple of milliseconds. 100th of a second between Klaffenbach and Imtiaz. 700ths of a second between Chemzy and Klaffenbach. And then 2 single thousandths of a second between the Ferrari of Moreira and Jana Dobzan. Everyone is giving it their absolute all tonight. We've really seen the grid start to tighten down in terms of field spread. We've got a couple of outliers still, but majority of the field is just within 4/10 of each other. Joris Krudsen, current pole position sitter, 29.609, and then down in P16, just under half a second behind, is Bogdan Moldovan at 30.0. And he's going to be coming back out along with the rest of the field, all in perfect unison. They want to get out quick. They want to burn some fuel. They want to get in on this.
That certainly is the case. What surprises me is that Nico Benz has gone out of the pit lane, preparing himself for that final lap, and he's indeed going to do a qualification run, unless he's going to be pulling back in towards the pit lane after his warm-up lap. But he's warming up his tires properly, so that would makes me think that he is actually going to be going for a full proper lap. The Novus Racing driver, the guy that came from Xbox halfway through this game, and he's now a name on the PC scene that pretty much everyone knows, and everyone knows what he's capable of and what pace this guy really has. And I mean, surely it's only a matter of time before we see him move up towards the development scene of some sort. But let's see what he can do tonight in WR Tier 2. Drivers preparing themselves for this final run with only one question to go. Who will take pole position?
Who will take pole position indeed? Nico Benz is going to be out ahead of the rest of the field, and he's going to be the one to watch. He's the outlier in all of this. He's the wild card. He's going to be coming up to turn 14, cruising it slowly round, making sure that he is in prime condition to take on this lap. He's only got one shot at this. This is do or die for the Haas down in P20. He's going to be going for it. He's only got this one shot at this, and he's going to have to make it work. Here we go. Up to the start-finish line. Immediately jumping into the 8th gear. Then braking down just slightly after the 50-meter board, but not too heavy. You want to carry the speed through the first corner, take it down on the incline, and then grip up through to turn 3. Open up your throttle on the way out, but a bit too much for Nico Benz. A little bit of a slip from the rear axle. He has to fight the car and retain control. Through turn 5, 23.703. So he's about a tenth and a half down of the lead runs. Another slip on the rear coming out of turn 6. Looking a little bit dicey here for the second Haas down in the field. He's going to take a nice amount of speed, jump on the curbs a little bit, heading into turn 9 now. Double apex. So open up the throttle, let the car roll out, but not too wide, because otherwise you will have to fight it back in. You're going to lose time. 50.7 is his current split, so a few tenths behind, but still on track for a decent run here. He just needs to link up that last sector. Oh, big slide! Big slide from Nico Benz there, as Tom Roberts is going to be retiring out of the session. He will get no better than P12 so far, but down the back straight. Nico almost going sideways through half of the entirety of turn 13. Here we go, jumping on the 80 meter mark, very deep into turn 14. Unfortunately for him, so the checkered flag has fallen. He's going to be jumping back into the pits. He's not going to set a time. He's not even going to go for P19. He's just going to concede the run right there and crash into the boards.
I don't think that's the ideal run in towards the pit lane for the actual race itself. Project Dunk's driver, JST, putting himself up in towards 8th place. Now we've got a Red Bull coming towards the line. That it will be Daniel Gottschalk, 3.5 tenths improvement. Hits the inside curb on the left-hand side, drives perfectly over it. Let's see what he can do. Only 14th for the Red Bull driver. We've got an Alpine coming towards the line. That is it's that Joris Cruisen. It was not an Alpine. I am very colorblind. It was a Williams, but Joris Cruisen is now coming towards the line. Let's see what he can do. Can he strengthen his pole position time? No, he cannot. 5,000 of a second slower than what he previously used to be. Jean Macquart coming up towards second place. A very close lap time by him. We've got a Ferrari coming up towards the line. That is Riyad Sprogis, but he's only improving by 6,000 of a second and invalidates. Not looking good.
Second Ferrari coming through, Nando Moreira. Final corner now. Again, be so careful when the exit out turn 16. It's going to make it work through. No improvement for the car up ahead, but Moreira up into P4. Sami Chimsey, very good initial runner here, as you got the two Aston Martins being the last ones to cross the line. This is looking like anything could go any which way. Left it across the line, jumping up into P8. What can Chimsey do? Coming up to the line, and it's going to be...
not quicker.
It's going to be third place. There's no improvement there, unfortunately. Left it down to the wire. It looked like the timing boards moved, but there you go. That is qualifying. And you can see the boards light up. Joris Cruisen taking the pole position spot here in Shanghai, with John Marquardt taking the second and Sami Chemsey remaining in P2. Although look how close some of these drivers are. 3 milliseconds between Chemsey and Moreira. Wozniak coming in at 5th spot. Just a couple milliseconds behind that, and then Jono Dobson, Reyes Imtiaz, Leptid, Julian Klaffenbach, JST, Bogdan Moldovan, Leo Lund, Riyad Sprogis, Tom Roberts, Leroy Brown, Daniel Gottschalk, Thomas Lamminen, Mark Schluter, Kai Pearson, and then Nico Benz rounding off the field. I still find it bizarre that he didn't set a time down in P20, but we'll be right back with you after a short break and a word from one of our sponsors. Welcome back, folks. It's a special day because we don't have any grid penalties, which means that we are wasting 0 time. We are jumping straight into the race. We're preserving tire usage, and we have got a strategy for all of the drivers. They have come in prepped, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the race holds. Usually, we have about a 2-3 minute wait as we have to reset the lobby, so it's nice to see we can jump straight in for once.
Yeah, certainly. A little bit of a panic. Hopefully, the sponsor videos would have been done in time, but fortunately, it is. Drivers are now sorting out their setups, which does concern me. Hopefully, they haven't gone full qualifying mode setup, because normally you would expect to have a restart. You would do softer for your tires, so these drivers will not have as many tires available as they would normally have. Only one set of fresh mediums, only one set of fresh hards. And if there will be many safety cars, these drivers will be forced to use many of the soft tires. It does throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, but already set and done. These drivers are now preparing themselves all to start off this race. Fuel has all been set. The strategies have been decided. And once those red lights will be off, this race will be fully underway. Got a small prediction for the race winner, mate?
Oh, prediction for the race winner. I am keeping my eye, call it predictable, but Joris Krozen, he's up at the top, he's put down some great pace and quali, and he has proven time and time again. Keep in mind, 6 races, 4 podium finishes. That is not a track record to scoff at, so he is reliable. Let's see if he can convert some more points today. Here's who I'm keeping my eye on. What about you?
It's always a difficult one. I think that Leo Lund, I'm expecting him to make a big comeback through the field. Is he going to win? Likely not.
And let's see what they can do here. 5 red lights. The track is hot here in Shanghai. Let's see what these drivers can do. And immediately, it's going to be a big jump and getaway from Joris Krozen. He's going to immediately go to the inside, try and cover up John Marquardt, who had a decent start of his own. You've got a little bit of side-by-side battling Kuba Wozniak and Moreira, but big action at the back of the field. There's contact being made, and there is Lepted all the way back down. He's dropped off massively to the rest of the racers here at the Chinese Grand Prix. Let's see what these other racers can do. JST and Bogdan Moldovan, they're going to go side by side. Klapperbock and Reyes Imtiaz are going to do much of the same. Big contact being made between Klapperbock and Imtiaz. There's going to be a little bit of shiftiness as Yone Dobson tries to get the throttle down, but then you've got Nando Moreira, who, if you look just behind from Gemsy's car, he's certainly keeping his whereabouts, keeping his wits about him. As you can see, the Mercedes and the Ferrari duking it out. They're side by side, corner after corner. They want to get these moves done. They want to get these places and do it fast.
Certainly is the case. A few different tire strategies ongoing. You see a few drivers making moves quite early on. Janne Dosvan, for example, starting out on the medium set of tires, making that move happen there on Kuba Wozniak, but through goes Reyes Imtiaz, making good profit from that side-by-side action and profiting 2-3 positions on those set of hard tires. You've got a few drivers on the softs as well. Bogdan Moldovan and Leo Lund. He needs to make up positions. He's going to be doing it on the soft set of tires, making it 3 wide there, going past a Williams and trying to go past the Ferrari as well. Riyad Sprogri breaking there, looking up a little bit, but making that move happen there, and left it already DNF'd.
Yeah, so not sure what
he's just retired in the menu.
He retired out on track. I'm very confused by that, but there is going to be a yellow coming out locally for Sector 3. Hopefully, no issues beyond that. But let's see, Leo Lund, he's going to continue his charge. He's up into P10 now. He wants to maximize those softs while he has them. That's going to be the main thing here, but he's not going to get it without a fight. Thomas Lamminen, he's going to go back in through to turn 2. Now, big contact coming in from Leo Lund. In fact, Ghost's out for a split second there. And I think he could be in a bit of trouble. I'm not sure what's happened. He shouldn't be reacting like that.
He just went in towards the back end off of the Haas up ahead in towards the back end of Julian Kaffenburg. Had a half spin. Game luckily ghosted him. No damage done for any other drivers. I doubt that the Swedish driver himself got any damage from that as well. But taking on the lead, it is still Joris Cruiser, feeling quite controlled. Just able to decide the pace, not pushing all that much, as you can see by the yellow bar on the steering wheel. Joël Marquardt in second place. Sami in third. And you've got Jerne. Nando Bogdan is in sixth place on those soft tires. And he just still wants to make up as many positions as possible. Still got a quite nice amount of ERS, JST, and Leo Lund still fighting with each other. And Leo Lund's just losing position after position as the Ferrari of Riyad Sprogis overtakes him. And he's now got Kai Pearson up his right-hand side as well, who's had quite a decent start. 7 positions already for the Englishman driving for the French team.
Yeah, a little bit of bumping tires and a little bit of contact made, but the moves are being done. The fighting is very fierce here in Shanghai, and you've got a bit more fighting further up. You've got Bogdan Moldovan. He's going to use those soft tires. He's going to get the jump on Moreira. He's going to try and get the gap back down to Yene because he's in the danger zone. He's a 10th off of that magic 1 second. DRS is going to be enabled from this lap onwards. Just got the word from race control, so he needs to catch up and do it fast. Put those softs through their paces, otherwise you are going to lose out big time when it comes out of turn 13 and onto that back straight.
A switchback out of turn number 2 by Jene Dosvan. Absolutely incredible done by the Slovenian driver, getting the Canadian on the ropes and making that switchback happen very easily. And the gap of 1 second is all the way settled back in. Those soft tires have so much grip at the early stage, you're easily able to do so. And Bogdan, he just wants to make up as many positions as possible, so he's able to get himself in towards a nice place in the train and then survive for as long as possible before he makes that eventual pit stop. And I think the same thing will be counting for Jene Dosvan, wanting to just bring himself up towards the front of that train and then be able to decide that pace and make a pit stop from a leading position, or at least the best position that you could possibly do. Who is outside of the 1 second range currently is Leo Lund, and he is struggling. The Swedish driver unable to really make any positions worth on those soft set of tires, and very aggressive off the start, and he's now been dropping back ever since. And look at that, who's coming over towards the right hand side. It is the Shizou driver of Tom Roberts, making that move happen quite easily, and it's a bit of tire dragging there. That's very naughty by Leo Lund.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit sideways with his opponent cars, and eventually he's going to bow out wide coming out of turn 14, so he's going to recede down to P16. Things are not going very well for him here. I wonder if there's something going on, because he's going aggressive. He's fighting hard. He makes it 2, nearly 3 wide, and it's just not quite working out for him. He doesn't seem to be keeping that same level of grip through some of these corners, despite having a 2 compound difference.
Yeah, I'm like low-key checking if he has damage, but there's no visible damage upon that car. Obviously, very wrong off the pace, as Max Rutte has decided to pull the car over as well and retire in towards the pit lane. So we've already got 2 DNFs. But again, hard fighting for Leo Lund. You want to be fighting for the championship. He's just holding the whole pack up again. I shouldn't be saying that all too loud towards the Fortune Academy engineers, because they will be getting flashbacks. But let's not talk about that all that much. Leo Lund will likely not be getting a good result tonight. And what I talked about at the beginning of the stream, Joris Cruiser needs 1 bad result from Leo Lund and 1 very good result from himself to pull this championship completely in his favor. He can't see it yet tonight, but he can make a very, very big step. And with him being in the lead and his main rival being down in 18th place, he certainly has the opportunity to do so.
And we'll see a bit of a trade coming in for the top spot, as you're going to see from Jene Dosvan's POV. He's going to go in after Joël Marquardt. He's going to try and slip in for the P2 spot, as Krozen is going to defend. The 2 hard runners at the top of the field, they are fighting tooth and nail. They are not giving an inch to one another whatsoever. Dobzan is going to tuck in behind the Alpine, but he's not going to be going for an aggressive move just yet. He's going to wait for Krozen and Marquardt to continue their battle, continue their duel through turn 1, side by side down turn 2, turn 3 coming up it's the Alpine's favor. He is going to have that apex, the double apex coming out of there, but he's going to have such a challenge ahead of him now because Dobzan's getting involved. He's looking there out to the left. He's pushing to the right. Marquardt is going to try and get that apex back on this Alpine here, and these two, in fact, make it these three because Dobzan is patiently lying in wait. They are not giving up by any stretch of the imagination. This fight's going to keep going.
He is. I would say that Yene is just waiting for an opportunity
He's playing it patient.
To open up. Exactly, and it's what he needs to do currently. I mean, he's on the medium tires. These tires will be good for another 3 to 4 laps before these tires will really equal out. But it is always very tricky to make this jump, to go from third place in towards first one. With this very long straight, you just need to be on a little bit of battery at the right moment to make that move happen. Who is burning? It is Joel Marquardt, just using a little bit of the DRS. Had a huge momentum boost forwards, and now opening up the DRS and making a very easy overtake on the Dutchman of Joris Cruiser. But Joris now having to go defensive because there goes Jene Dosson around the outside of turn number 14, still side by side, and on those medium tires, just a little bit more grip, but he needs to go around the outside with a little bit of a longer line, but he makes it work there. Jene Dosson on those medium tires up towards number 2. And now he will be able to easily maintain or retake this lead on that next lap. On that long straight, it shouldn't be all that difficult. But once again, this time he could be hunted down as well by Joris Cruiser. Who still, I mean, he seemed to be very in control when he was in that lead. So hopefully for him, he is able to regain that control and just dictate his pace once more. Meanwhile, some fighting going back on a little bit further back. JST and Riyad Spogis trying to battle it out currently, and it's already very low ERS from the Ferrari, seemingly already flashing, and on a long straight like this is not ideal. Whenever you show your opponents that you have little ERS, they know that you are weak. They'll put you under pressure and you will become a falling duck very, very quickly. Just fall down the order and lose many positions. Let's hope it doesn't happen all that badly towards a Ferrari driver.
Yeah, well, and it's always interesting when you talk about things like your ERS and managing that resource. Thing to keep in mind is you don't want to give your opponents information. You don't want to give them any indication that you're struggling, that you've run out of moves. By going into recharge mode and flashing those fog lights, you are essentially communicating to your opponent, I have no battery left. I've got nothing to defend with. And unless you are deploying recharge at about 50-60%, also strategy, it's about the mind games. It's about the information. But Dobzan is going to continue to push his advantage. He gets the move done into turn 14 here. He is going to use those mediums to their fullest extent. He's going to take the lead of this race on lap 6, and he's going to be leading into lap 7. How the top other two runners are going to respond to that, I don't know. See, Marquardt is going to immediately go for a bit of a push, use the DRS, try and close the gap, but he's not going to go hyper aggressive with it. He's not going to force himself into turn 1. He's just going to keep him close. Maybe use him for a couple of laps to recharge his battery, and then we'll see what happens.
Leo Lund, undercut season, and a new front wing indeed. Wing damage for the Red Bull car, likely achieved when he hit the back end of Julian Klaffenbocke's car, because after that moment he's only been dropping down the order, and he knows he cannot retire from this session. He is in a championship battle, decides to go for a set of the medium tires. I don't think these tires will be able to last all the way towards the end of the session. It will become very, very interesting. Leo Lund back out, pitting lap number 7. He will have a big undercut, but with that wing change, I don't think it will help him all that much. Let's see what he is still capable to do during this race.
Well, he's got the undercut. He kind of had to do it considering the wing damage. He didn't really have a strategy choice. Although I find it curious that he's gone onto the mediums of all tyres, because he's not really going to be able to make it to the end. He's going to have to take a second stop. And in a sea of drivers where the one-stop strategy is going to be viable, hard to medium seems to be the most common favoured tactic among the racers here in Shanghai. It's going to be a bit of a toss-up. He's already 32 seconds down, and now he's going to be on the pace to at least keep track. But that extra stop is going to cost him dearly. Wonder how he's going to respond. Or if he's going to be taking a little bit of a different approach.
Yeah, people in the chat were already suggesting as well that Leo surely had wing damage, and it has been now confirmed that that is the case. All drivers still in that long DRS train. Position 1 through 17. With 20 laps to go, in theory, everything can still happen. We are waiting about 6 more laps before the strategic fest will all be going down. And it's just these drivers that have been trying to make up as many positions as possible, but which does somewhat surprise me, and you can disagree with me on this, is that Bogdan Moldovan, Thomas Laminen, and Kai Pearson haven't been able to maybe make as much progress as they were hoping for.
You know, they certainly made some movements, but yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you there. They were on the soft tyres, so they really should be making those pushes upwards. They have leveraged them to an extent, and I mean, Thomas Laminen, and in fact, sort of saying that, minor correction, because they have made some upwards position swings. They have made up about 7 positions each. So Bogdan on 6, Thomas Laminen on 7, and Kai Pearson on 8 positions gained. So they have made the softs work, but they are still stuck in the middle of the pack. They are still stuck in the middle of traffic. And that is going to mean that no matter what advantage they manage to push, they're still going to have to go into the pits earlier than everyone else and potentially run the risk of a 2-stop strategy, which could harm them in the long run. This is getting into that dicey territory of where drivers start to look at and potentially predict if there's going to be a safety car. Because if you get a safety car, you effectively get 3 free laps worth of running and a fresh set.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite difficult to get a safety car deployed here because of those run-off areas. I mean, it is an official racing track. Unfortunately, we haven't raced it for a long time due to COVID, but I mean, I'm looking forward to this one. In like 2 weeks' time, I believe it is. Or the Chinese Grand Prix. Or is it not this year? Fairly sure.
Do believe so, but looking like some of our league racing, so. It's going to be giving us a teaser.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a beautiful thing. I mean, you're able to see how great racing can be on here, and then unfortunately you'll likely get disappointed by the real thing. But that's a beautiful thing about league racing in my eyes. All these cars being very close towards each other, kind of like the Formula 2 or the Formula 3 side of things, or maybe some more GT racing. But these drivers all incredibly on the limit, trying to just make sure that they gain as much time and positions as possible, and wanting to make those overtakes happen. And I'm just trying to look who's the closest towards the car ahead, who's the first person to make an overtake now whilst the race is kind of settled down. And I think that Julian Klaffenbock has been behind the car in front of him, which is Dries Imtiaz, for a long time. I think that Julian may be the next person to make a little bit of a surprise. Never mind, Joris Cruzen is the name. A lock-up from Joel Macquart, and easy overtake done by the Dutchman. Back up in second place for him.
Yep, big move there. Capitalized on his opponent's mistake. That is textbook racecraft right there. Ooh. You make sure your opponent is in the position where if they make a mistake, you are right there to jump on it. And that's exactly what Cruzen did. He saw the chance, went for it. He didn't do anything too aggressive. He just remained there, remained steady, put the pressure on, and it looks like Macquarie cracked.
I mean, certainly so. And as a championship leader, he wants to dominate. He wants to win it tonight, because just imagine how many points that could be. Sammy Chemsey going up the inside there of Joel Macquart as well. And you need to be able to make a little bit of a surprise move, especially when you are in 4th position, because it's a very hard position to get out of just fully in the DRS train. A little bit of contact there. Oh, a little bit more contact. Still, these drivers all keeping it quite fair and square on the racing track, using absolutely all of it. Joel Macquart on the right-hand side of the grass. He was there, got his tires a little bit dirty and didn't have maybe the grip that he expected, hitting the side of Sammy. Fortunately for him, no spinner for either of these drivers, with Joel Macquart losing out 2 positions in 1 lap, and that's certainly not what the McLaren driver was looking for. It's not like he's low on battery as well. He is quite average compared to the rest of this field, so he has just been chilling, and Joris Cruzen now needing to use a little bit of the ERS and DRS to close the gap back up towards the Slovenian driver, who is leading right now, Jernej Dovsan.
And with Chemsey, I gotta say, what a setup. He had probably the cleanest setup for an overtake that I've seen. He goes straight off to one side, then at the very last second, he dives in towards the apex. He does go a tiny little bit deep, which allowed Macquarie to get a bit of a rise on him and get that battle that we saw through the second sector. But what a setup from Chemsey there. He immediately put him under pressure. With it inches to spare, he got to the other side, placed his claim to the apex of the territory, and then confirmed it through ending out to the second sector. So a little bit dicey on confirming it, but Amazing stuff. Amazing racing from everyone out on track at the moment. Things are starting to hit a sort of point of equilibrium now. Drivers have found their spaces on the field. Short of a strategy mix-up, which we're going to see very soon, certainly from our soft runners, everyone is just trying to put in the laps, keep within proximity of a second, and get themselves to the key strategic phase of this race.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is sort of preparing themselves for pit stops right now, which comes towards the critical phase. The drivers that started on a harder compound can start to put a little bit of pressure on towards the drivers that have started on towards the softs. Nando Moreira is a prime example for this. He's putting up a lot of pressure towards the back end of Bogdan Moldovan, who's not able to relax as much as he maybe wants to. 1.1 seconds now is the DRS gap, but I do believe that he did achieve that DRS early on in the lap, and indeed he did so, but he still has got that Ferrari right behind him. Nando Moreira making that move very easily happen, and there we go, the Ferrari making up another position. I was about to say, you can either do two things at this moment. It's either save the ERS so you're able to burn a lot when that pit stop phase arrives, or you need to just be able to push and make some final overtakes, but then you will be under pressure once those pit stops do arrive, because overcuts and undercuts, it's the whole story of this game. It is the way that you overtake and can make big gains or lose a lot of positions. And also, the other F7R driver of Reyes making that overtake happen on the inside of Bogdan Moldovan as well. So losing out 2 positions in a relatively short time, the Williams driver really starting to struggle now on those softs, and it questions me, is it not time to go for a very early and aggressive pit stop strategy by pitting, maybe even next lap already?
Yeah, well, Bogdan certainly looks like he's in trouble. He's just been overtaken by Imtiaz. He's already on the cuff for trying to get away from Klaffenbach here, and he's seemingly not making much of a gap. So those softs are well and truly past their prime by this point, but they're about on even keel grip-wise with the rest of the field at this point in time. Well, Bogdan Moldovan certainly making it look that way. So about 2 to 2.5 tenths split the two drivers. At this point in time, Klaffenbach's just looking for a way to get around him. He knows once he is around, then he is going to be able to close the gap, because the last thing he wants to happen right now is if Bogdan pits, he's going to be out of the DRS zone. He's not going to be in the train. Moldovan is his key link. So you can see he's going for the overtake here. He's going for the push. He has got the wing open. He's going to be pushing over 200 miles an hour. And it's going to be even faster. So Cuba is going to be peaking on the inside. Doesn't make it a 3-wide attack, but also gets it past Moldovan.
Certainly so, the ET8 driver, there he goes in towards the pit lane. 16 laps on towards a set of the medium tyres will be the strategy that this driver is opting for. Thomas Lemon and Kai Pearson going for the exact same strategy. These two will be able to work together, maybe do a nice DRS swap, and I think Kai Pearson certainly doesn't mind that he has ended up behind the Alfa Romeo, because he will have DRS on that long straight, being able to make that jump then, and hopefully for him then get DRS the next lap because of other pit stops around him. Bogdan Moldovan, Thomas Lemon, Kai Pearson, and Nico Benz already making out that pit stop. Nico Benz going very, very early though, and making quite a big undercut.
Yeah, he's going to go for the undercut here. He just wants to try and take the medium seemingly to the end. Now, we've seen in a bit of prediction from how long the softs last that the mediums have a decent chance of taking it through to the end, but they will also, like the softs, see a point past their prime. And this is maybe where the hard runners currently out on field still can play things a little bit to their favor. They can almost run out their stints and then get the undercut onto a set of soft compound tires, but that depends on their allocations left over from qualifying. Like, did they go through all of their soft sets? Because otherwise, that strategy isn't really going to work.
That certainly is the case. These drivers just preparing themselves really once more for those pits of Reese images, and Nando Moreira fighting side by side on Reese, making that move happen. The driver from Pakistan, I do believe, excuse me if that is wrong, he is at least from a country where you don't really see all that many league races, and it is great to see a driver like that making his appearance on towards the field. Julian Klaffenbach going for a big undercut again, speeding under the pit lane. He's got a habit of doing this. I've seen multiple other races where Julian Klaffenbach just speeds in the pit lane. He's got to stop doing this.
It's a bit too aggressive, and remember, even 1 kilometer an hour is still speeding. Speeding is speeding, doesn't matter if it's 1 or 100. So he's got to get that under control, because, see, you are right, that is not the only time he's done that. And these races are decided by tenths of a second. So to have 5 seconds slapped onto you, that is going to be a definitive race ruiner. That's the main thing that I think is holding him back in a lot of cases, because we've seen the pace, we've seen the performance that is on the tap from this RHG driver.
Certainly so. Can we just quickly appreciate the strategy that Nico Benz is on? 1 lap extra undercut from P20 on the grid. He's currently already in P11, but he's seconds from the drivers that have made the pit stop. And I can guarantee you right now, when that long straight comes up in turn 14, he will be leading this medium strain. And I mean, if he just keeps up doing that, and you have all these drivers pitting out behind him, he will be on towards a very, very good strategy. And I mean, we talked a little bit about strategy before this, and we predicted, I mean, the ideal pit stop phase should be around the halfway point, maybe a little bit after. We've seen this half of the grid go before the halfway point, and we will be seeing a few more drivers now diving in towards the pit lane. Chemsy, for example, Imtiaz is going in, Wozniak as well. 3 more pit stops going in, and let's see where they will be emerging. And Nico Benz actually decided to stay behind Julian Klaffenbach. So Julian using a little bit of his battery, defending this position. He wants to lead this train. He wants to not get stuck behind Nico Benz, who's on a little bit slower tires, and now getting that penalty as well. 3 seconds added on for Julian Klaffenbach for time penalty, for track limits. So he's already got 8 seconds of penalty. So I can guarantee you, and put quite a lot upon this, that Julian Klaffenbach will not win this race.
Yeah, and I think the other thing here, and looking at the other side of things from Nico Benz's perspective, is he's now got Klaffenbach out ahead. He doesn't need to fight him, because he's got those penalties. Regardless of what happens, he's going to drop him on the position. So now he can, in a way, use Klaffenbach as a means to recharge his own resources. Get him to defend with his own battery. Recharge his battery by using the DRS to make up for the pace. He's got options here, and Benz has executed this strategy amazingly. And to think we were doubting him at the start, he wasn't putting down a time in qualifying, but clearly that's because he wanted to make a real statement in the race. And he's currently sat P8, but second in the post-pit stop train.
No, I think Nico Benz was just giving others a chance in qualifying, you know. He's only now showing off his real strength. But no, I actually disagree on what you said before that. I think it would be very beneficial for Nico Benz to overtake Julian Klaffenbach, because then you have a buffer. Now he's under direct pressure from these drivers behind you. And if you have your teammate behind you, who you know will be dropping back quite a bit, you will have a little bit of protection. And you're able to work together with him, which is not the strategy that Julian Klaffenbach and Nico Benz are currently going for. We have seen a little bit more pit stops. Let's actually go on board with Joris Cruisen there, and let's see where he comes out, because now he can go on throttle. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars at least already flying past him, going side by side with JST, but having the inside line over, so he's able to protect at least that position. Not too far back, I'd say, for Joris Cruisen. He has been undercut by Chemsy and by Imtiaz, so 2 more drivers that he needs to overtake, we previously did not have to do. Will he still be able to take that win?
Yeah, and that's certainly a question mark hanging over his head. He's managed to get that P8 spot and just keep it ahead of JST, but he's also having to work pretty fast to get the core temps of those tyres up to an ideal window. And he has done that for the most part. He's managed to keep the McLaren at bay, but now is going to be... Nico Benz! Nico Benz, he's disconnected. So what was a great effort, shame. He's now on the rocks. He's going to be absolutely reeling from this, because he's going to be dropping through the standings like a stone, and I do feel for him. After such a good effort, it's not looking like things have gone his way tonight at all.
Yeah, and then you just go on board with this car and you just see all the ERS being absolutely drained from it. Yeah, and it does find currently in towards the pit lane as well. Tom Roberts is likely going to be following him in. I think Yana is going to go to soft. Oh, what was that? What was that for a move? Reese Imtiaz trying to go for it with Joris Cruisen. It was all side by side, all chaos. End result, Joris Cruisen goes past Reese Imtiaz.
Big lockup from the AlphaTauri driver there. Looking like he really just... He lost control of the car. He aimed it for the apex. And it looks like Bogdan Moldovan, in fact, is going to be retiring out in the pit lane. So that is our 3rd retiree of the race here. And a local...
Nico Benz's AI has gone in.
His AI's gone in? He's going
Yeah,
on to a fresh set of mediums.
he
Battery
was on
completely.
5. He was on 5 lap old mediums, and his AI was like, "Nah, let's make a pit stop. If he rejoins now, his race is gone anyways."
He is absolutely cooked here. Unfortunate, but he is not looking like he's going to have any chance of a recovery. The AI has well and truly done him in here. Unless there is a miracle that can be put to work, Nico Benz is out of the running. Even Lee Lund is currently out ahead. And to Lee Lund's credit, he has closed the gap quite substantially. Although he has got those 10-lap-old mediums, which he's going to have to contend with to the very end if he wants to remain on pace. He's still putting in the work. He's still putting in the effort. You can see Yone Dobson now on a fresh set of softs. He's going to be a driver to watch as he is going to be trying to use those red walls.
Yeah, Nico Ben's not happy, but let's just focus on what's actually going on right now at the front. Joël Marquardt on 1 lap old mediums, going past Kai Pearson was on a little bit of older mediums, going off very early whilst he started on those softs. Has it been the right strategy? We will know. Another driver currently on the soft tires, Jerne Dosvan, started on those mediums, going for a soft medium strategy. Will this work? That is the question. 38% battery for the Slovenian, currently needing to pass 9 more drivers in 10 laps. And you need to do it as soon as possible because those tires will only be getting worse and worse whilst those medium tires are very good for Leo Lund retiring from the session. 5 seconds, speeding in pit lane and giving up. This is the prime moment for Joris Cruzen to extend his championship lead, as Jerne Dosvan does this very nicely. Sent up the inside, turn 5 or 6, making that move happen in towards P9 he goes.
Yeah, and with those red walls, Yone is looking to close the gap fast and make a quick run up to this rest of this field. You've got 5 drivers who have retired out, and that is a tough sight to see. A lot of drivers, of course, they all put in the work, so not all of them are going to make it home. But for Cruzen, he has everything to lose here, everything to play for. But he has effectively been given a free opportunity for a massive points jump in the championship because Lund's retired. Leroy Brown in 3rd place in the championship is currently down in P12. I say Cross is going to go for a big dive down the inside, but he's going to yield out of it. Sammy Chemsey is going to be on the big pressure, and in fact he's going to be jumping all the way for it. He's going to go into 1st place. So big run around the outside of turn 14 confirms it through the last couple of corners. The Aston Martin is up top. As you can see, Klappenbach and Crozen continuing to fight. Crozen is going to go down in the inside. Is going to almost make a move on Chemsey at the same time, but is going to settle for just getting the move on the Haas. Or is he? He's getting so close to the back of that AMR 23. It's going to be quite the battle these next couple of laps. I can already feel it because they're on young mediums. They're fighting hard, and both of them have a lot to gain from tonight.
Here goes Jerne up the inside of Kai Pearson, setting it up quite nicely, just like Sammy did earlier up on this race. But now, with the significant tire difference, quite an easy move. Kai Pearson losing out of position to Kuba Wozniak on the exit as well. Got quite surprised by it. Was defending off the inside, but not well enough because Jerne saw the gap, licked the stamp, and send it. And he did that quite nicely. Still, these medium runners are quite in control. I doubt that the WR driver will really be able to put all that much pressure upon this race. I think the hard medium strategy has certainly been the superior one. But 9 more laps to go. Semi currently in the lead with Joris in 2nd. Julian in 3rd with 8 seconds of penalties. Then you've got Rees in 4th. Joël Marquardt in 5th. JST in 6th. Jerne Dosvan in 7th. Then you've got Kuba Wozniak, Kai Pearson, Nando Moreira, Thomas Laminen, Leroy Brown, Daniel Gottschalk, Riyad Sprokries, and Tom Roberts, who ends off this grid.
Yeah, so Jerne Dosvan dropping down massively. I think there was a bit of contact coming through in turn 14, but there's a big positional shuffle. As you can see, Dobson and JST, they're ghosted into one another. Dobson ghosted out after some contact, and now the game has decided that he is going to remain ghosted for this entire duration. He's going to be just out, pipping out ahead of the McLaren driver. So strategic ghosting coming in there, but damage is being reported.
Marquardt.
And it's going to be, oh, that's an end plate. He's missing an end plate there. He's going to be really stuck.
Yep. pretty major damage from the German, who's had quite an impressive season as well. He was again a driver that has made the switch from console on towards PC, being known as OB Markedos before that, being doing very well. I think also in the crossplay tier of WOR, but mainly being active on the PlayStation side of things, so you'd have to look at PSGL for that. I mean, yeah, he's been an incredible driver there, and his transformation over towards PC has been quite smooth. He's now just holding up the whole field. So much damage, nothing you can do against it. And Kai Pearson and Nando Moreira, they are just stuck. Gonna be using the battery now to try to get past, but Joel McQuarrie not giving up that easily, using his battery as well, not giving up these positions for free. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, it does one. Meanwhile, forcing his way over towards 4th place. Nando Moreira, though, going all the way around the outside of the McLaren driver, doing that quite nicely, and Kai Pearson just getting stuck. You can't do anything here. Yeah, in the pit goes McLaren. He's going to retire.
Yeah, that is... I'm pretty sure that's going to be a retirement then. Although, he would have quit it out by now. Looks like he's going to remain committed. Maybe even go for a soft to do a bit of damage control. Steal the fastest lap. Could be a point in his favour.
I'm always a fan of drivers not retiring. A pit stop could certainly be an option. Or not a pit stop, a safety car. It could still be viable. And I mean, I've seen engineers not be all that happy about pit stops, wanting them removed, but it still gives these drivers the opportunity to find yourself back in the race. And I think it rewards those who do get unlucky, but then they get saved afterwards by a safety car or something else. And as annoying as it could be, I think it's a great addition. It would be a real shame to remove those from league racing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of unique dynamics that are exclusive to F1 sim racing, and I mean, we're going to see that in full force because the sim racing championship is coming up. It is, in fact, it's a couple of days. The first, or the second technically, but it feels like the first because it has been a while. The second event is coming in this week, and we're seeing drivers up and down from the development scene, from the pro scene. They are all amped, they are geared for this, and league racing, certainly like WOR and other opportunities like that, this is that step into that development scene, into that pro scene eventually. So it's awesome to finally see that top step being returned to the calendar. Yannick Dobzan goes for a little bit of a poking on turn 14, but doesn't quite commit fully to that move. But we're coming up to the final few laps now here, so drivers are starting to get a little bit antsy, getting a little bit anxious. They know that they're running out of time. If they want to go for moves, they're going to have to start thinking seriously about them now and when they choose their point to commit.
That is indeed the case. 6 more racing laps to go before we know who the race winner will be. Is it Chemsey who's currently leading? Will it be Joris Cruzen who's on a fresher set of tires? Or will it be Janne Dosvan who's going to be able to pull out some magic on those sets of the soft tires? He is now behind Julian Klavenbroek, who still has 8 seconds of penalties. His strategy would have worked if he just didn't speed and then pick up a penalty out of frustration afterwards. It's just silly from the young Austrian driver.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Dobzan's POV, and I'm keeping an eye on him just here. Dobzan has an opportunity to really make a big attack, but if he wants to go for a podium spot, he's going to have it automatically by the nature of Klavenbach's penalties. But if he wants to go for, say, the P2, then he has to do it basically now, because those softs are not going to carry the same pace all the way till the end. You see Crozen, he's going to go for the E apex of turn 14, but big slide on the exit. That's going to afford the opportunity back to the Aston Martin. He is going to push it alongside, but it's going to yield and going to go back a bit. He wants to try and get it on the DRS through the start-finish straight. Let's see. Going right up against the pit wall. Not much of a defensive movement from Joris, but he's going to remain committed to his racing line. You can see he didn't feel that he needed to, and he didn't in the end. I thought we were going to see much more dramatic reaction. That might have been Chemsey's plan.
No, because you can still win the race. I think if you enter this final lap in first, second, or third, those are the positions you can realistically win it in on that long straight, depending on how much battery you have saved up and what has happened before that. I think in P4, it is nearly impossible. That's why Janne, he needs to be able to make a small move a little bit before that, at least make one overtake, so he puts himself up on that position and from that moment onwards, try to play the situation. See what those drivers who will then be quicker, or at least on quicker tires around him, see how they will play the scenario and try to profit from that. It's exactly what the Slovenian driver needs to do of Jene, and the only thing he could do right now is wait, because 5 more racing laps to go. These drivers just trying to control the race, and I doubt that Semi will actually be going for a move here once more, or at least be burning much of his battery whilst doing so, trying to get clean air. Yours Cruisen actually forcing him to get in towards the slipstream, so he's unable to cool his engine, and those are some cheeky tactics.
Yeah, the racecraft and the meta strategy is absolutely coming out here. But Yone is going to peek around. He's going to sort of stick his nose in, potentially look at getting that P3
There
on
we
track.
go.
There you go.
He's burning.
It's full burn. Let's see what they can do, what they can make of it. Big snap out,
Whoa.
big contact. Klappenbach is round. And he is going to be joining the back end of this field. He's going to rejoin in P14. Unfortunate for the Haas driver. The contact between himself and Yone, that was curtains for him.
It certainly wasn't ideal for him, both squeezing each other on towards the right-hand side, and then it is pretty difficult. So yeah, then it's pretty difficult to still keep it side by side. I mean, you have Julian opening back up again, and then trying to maintain a racing line while still keeping a car's width on the inside for Yene, but obviously you can't make that sharp off an angle. You would have always ran a little bit more wide. I think, honestly, that Julian would have had more chance by committing towards a switch back there, but he would have lost a lot to those up ahead. It's not ideal for the both of them. We can speculate it all we want, but at the end, this is something that's probably going to be going towards the Stewart, even though Julian had no chance of winning in the first place.
Yeah, and the stewards are no doubt going to be called, and I'm struggling to see. Honestly, we had a bit of a skewed POV coming from the side. Tough to tell whether it was Dobzan washing wide, or whether it was Klappenbach going inwards and closing onto him. It's hard to tell, and of course we leave it to the stewards. But Chemsy getting a little bit closer to Cruisen's lead, and occasionally just sort of poking his nose in. I think he's just trying to slowly build up a little bit of pressure. He is going to go for it, going to go out wide here, but trying to get a little bit of that clean air to, say, cool his car down, cool his engine. But he's also using it simultaneously as an opportunity to just remind Cruisen that he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I think I do know what Chemsy is trying to achieve. He wants to burn off as much battery as possible from the race car driver up ahead. So Joel Marquardt retires from the session knowing that there's it is not possible to get a safety car. He's driven for as long as he could. He got really excited when that contact was up in turn 1, but unfortunately for him, no safety cars have been deployed. It is green running for the whole race, or I mean, there have been some yellow flags, but unlike NASCAR, when you get a safety car as soon as there's a yellow flag, we keep racing here. So no safety cars this race, all just been going 28 laps as quickly as possible. Yours Cruisen, I can see it on the steering wheel. He's under absolutely zero pressure. I don't know if you can see it as well, Sappy, but that yellow bar on the wheel, it's full.
He's looking very confident. It doesn't look like Chemsy is posing much of a threat to him. He's not going to fall so easily for any battery burning tricks. He's going to let Chemsy go for these moves, go for these lunges, force himself into unfavorable positions, which are ultimately going to put himself under more pressure. Kai Pearson, unfortunately, he's going to get 3 seconds. Track limits infraction, so he's going to be dropping down to at least P11, if not P12 here. Sad to see from him after such a good run and good recovery. So he started, I believe, P19, so certainly had a lot of good movement upwards in this field, and that is certainly going to put a damper on things.
Yeah, exactly the case, which is a little bit of a shocker maybe, is that the DRS train has broken. Daniel Gottschalk unable to maintain the pace of these drivers up ahead. 1.7 seconds now is the gap, and he's been flashing his ERS for a long time. Leon Brown being stuck behind him, so he's unable to really close that gap back up towards his leading train. So that means that likely the worst these drivers can get in this main train will be B8 on track. Of course, there could be some penalties handed out either now or later, because we do already have 3 different time penalties. It is Kuba Wozniak on 3 seconds, Kai Pearson on 3 seconds, and Julian Klaffenbach on 8.
A little bit of roughhousing coming from the back of the field as well, as Thomas Laminen seemed to lock horns with Riyad Sprogis and Tom Roberts on his way down. So not looking too comfortable is the Sauber driver, but he is going to get a bit of a swing back because Sprogis hasn't got the DRS to play with, meaning that he's going to reassert himself into P12. Unfortunately, big slide from him. In fact, he's completely sideways. That is Laminen down in P14 now, because he unfortunately has taken a little bit too much on the rear, getting a little bit slidey, and that is game over for him. In fact, there he goes. I think he's going to go retire in the pit lane, and that is going to make it 7 non-finishers here in China.
Yeah, I mean, once you can't get points, really, I understand why these drivers do not continue. I mean, Riyad Sprogis and Julian Klaffenbach, unfortunately for them, also been pulled outside of any DRS trains, and the same going for that gap earlier on. Kai Pearson going for a send there, getting tire hooked by JST. Not all that nice. I don't know if he was a little bit squeezed, but then again, falling outside of this DRS train. Kai Pearson now needing to burn a little bit of battery to try to get himself back in. But here is where the DRS games really start to come to life. Joris Cruzen, he's got a full battery. If this guy doesn't win, he's going to do something very wrong, or someone behind is going to do something absolutely incredible. He's got it controlled from lap 1 all the way towards lap 27. Is he able to maintain this controlness for this final lap? Will we see the Dutchie come out on this top step again? And will we see him extend oh so massively in his championship lead? 25 points compared to 0 off of his championship rival. He doesn't lose it on this main straight. He hasn't even touched his battery on the final lap. He's going to be able to absolutely burn it all and fly away. Let's just enjoy this lap from the Dutchman. Joris Cruzen, final lap.
This is the textbook definition of stacking your cards, stacking your hand, because now Cruzen has softer tyres, or better grip on his tyres. He's got a full battery. He's got Chemzy, who has tried to make moves and tried to make pressure, no doubt getting agitated, and he's just sitting there calm. The only thing that Chemzy has in his favour is the DRS, and he's already lost 1 opportunity for it. So short of the back straight, that is going to be the Aston's only real opportunity, and it looks like a little bit of a rough corner there. Rough turn 6 is going to see Chemzy drop down to almost 3/4 of a second gap. This is looking like this is already game set, but let's see how, as we go here, there is still opportunity. The race isn't over till the checkered flag falls, and as it currently stands, you have 3 drivers all pushing in that DRS train, and then even further down all the way to P6. They're going to continue that pace. Joris Cruzen leads, Shami Chemzy second, Rex Imtiaz third, and then Dobzan 11 laps on the softs, made it work thus far up to this point, although getting very dicey with his AlphaTauri teammate. Little bit of a challenge going a bit further behind, as Moreira and Wozniak are going to be drag racing for it. Cruzen is going to have full control as Chemzy, close as he might get, very big dive into turn 14. That's not going to be enough for him. Final corner now. Joris Cruzen coming through to the start-finish straight. Chemzy is on the recharge, and Cruzen wins the Chinese Grand Prix in round 7 of PC Tier 2 here for WOR.
Absolutely astonishing drive. I said it already last lap, but he's controlled this from the start. I think even in qualifying, this guy knew he had won the race. I mean, from lap 1 onwards, he was just in such crazy control. And the whole race, he didn't slip it once. He was in control the whole time, and he deserves his top step on the podium and the champagne that comes with it.
Yep, and let's see the board and the final results of today. So Cruzen gets a pole position. It confirms it into a win here in China, with Zoe Chemzy making it from third up into P2. So good result from him all the same. And Reyes Imtiaz making a swing upwards into the bronze spot. Yono Dobson, his teammate in AlphaTauri, is going to make it P4 along with Nando Moreira in P5. The Portuguese driver putting in a very good show and a very good performance, certainly doing the Ferrari team proud. Meanwhile, you have JST coming in P6 with Gottschalk with P7. Roberts, Wozniak and Brown complete your top 10. And then you have Kai Pearson, Rios Sprogis, Klaffenbach, Thomas Lamminen, Marquardt Leolund, Nico Benz, Bogdan Moldovan, Mark Schluter, and Lefted, aka Conor Moyer, taking the rest of the field. Shame that we only ended up seeing 13 out of our 20 drivers finish the race, but as you said so earlier, they were out of the points, and they might as well drop out there. Keep a cool head, don't deep it too much, just mentally prepare yourself, check out for the next race.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what has happened here. I mean, maybe the biggest shock is that Leo Lund's getting damaged so early on and just driving that race, which wasn't all that great for him. But I mean, these final standings will do them very quickly. It is Joris, Sammy, Reese, Yene, Nando, JST, Daniel Gottschalk, Tom, Kuba, Leroy, Kai, Riyadh, Julian, and then the DNFs are Thomas Lominen, Joel, Leo, Nico, Bogdan, Mark, and Lefted. That was the whole grid within 10 seconds.
Very impressive. Top points, top honors. We'll see if we can have a chat with any of the drivers and see if anyone is willing to have a talk with us. Of course, there's some big highlights. This is going to be big for Kroeser's championship efforts. He's got that 25 points. He's got Lund, who retired out. He's got Leroy Brown, who's much further down the grid. Marquardt retired. Pearson down. There is certainly a case to be made that Kroeser could wrap this championship prematurely. He's built up at least a 30-point gap to any nearest competitor.
Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible to see how well he's performed over the course of a full season. I mean, I've got it pulled up here. 15 points in Bahrain, 25 in Saudi Arabia, 10 points in Italy, 18 in Azerbaijan, 18 in Canada. Then he had 1 0-point scoring result again in an Italian Grand Prix. Don't exactly know the order of it. Don't blame me. 25 points out in China. He's got 3 more races to go. Wow. I mean, he hasn't already sealed it because the gap will be 44 points. But that's still a very, very big amount.
That is a very impressive place to be heading into the 8th round. And the next round, as we don't really seem to be looking like we're going to get anyone jumping into the box. The next round is going to be Austria. It's going to be the Red Bull Ring. What looks like a very simple circuit, deceptively technical through the undulation and through a little bit of bravery at some parts of the track. I love this track. I love this track. However, turn 2 is not a turn. I stand by this. Turn 2 is not a corner.
No, it's a bend. It's a bend.
It is a mild curve of the road. But that's another debate for another day.
Red Bull Ring, it needs to be the Red Bull Ring for one driver and one driver only. Leo Lund. Maybe it's meant to be. Maybe that's Will Billy race where he's able to take back these 25 points, drag the championship back towards 19, get a good result in the second to last race, which would be around, an American race. And then it would be a very close title fight. Who knows? It's not all done for US Cruiser. One bad result can make such a big difference like we've seen tonight. And I'm sure we will be seeing it over towards a couple of weeks. Because each Monday, 8 p.m. British summer time, these boys will be racing. It will be for 3 more weeks after this. And yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get anyone today in the commentary box for any podiums or interviews. So I'll do my quick ending then, because I would like to thank all of you guys for watching, taking the times of your day to tune in for WR Tier 2, and then Sappy, the final word. It's all yours.
And what more is there to say than you've been an amazing audience? Well done to all the drivers for their performances tonight, and we were looking forward to seeing you same time next week for Red Bull Ring for Austria for round 8 of PC Tier 2. And certainly you'll want to stick around for it. Support the people who support us, subscribe if you love what we do, like the stream, and we will see you very soon. Goodbye for now.